Guys, welcome to this segment where we are going to go over how to create a backdrop with a double crossbar using 3-inch valance hanger. Now, I have already shown you guys how you can create another look with only one crossbar, but if you already have these handy and you have an additional crossbar already available, like they are sold in our kits, the Posh Basic Kit, Premium Kit, and Premier Kit, then you're going to be able to do this technique with the equipment that you already have. So we have just put a silver panel in the middle of our white basic setup, such as this here. The only thing at this point you want to be mindful of is measuring. So you want to make sure that your white on both sides are even. The easiest way to do so is simply by taking any kind of measuring tape and just measure both sides of your panels to make sure that they're even. So you want to measure from one end and you want to go out to the end of your white. That is 31 inches. So you just want to do the same exact thing on the other side. We're at 31 inches, which ultimately would mean that the center is even because you have 31 inches on both sides. So you just want to fill in any gaps and make sure it's all dispersed. And then you're going to assemble your crossbar. So you want to take your additional crossbar and your 3-inch hangers, and you're just going to insert it right into your slot. And make sure it's sticking straight across as a 12 o'clock. So you also want to be sure that you're sticking it in the middle slot of the hanger. If you do it in any of the other slots, it'll be off balance and you're going to risk your backdrop actually falling. So you just want to stick the other one on the opposite end. Then you're going to add your crossbar. Just like such. Once you get to this point, now you're going to add your drape according to whichever style that you're going to design. Like I said before, we're going to use 3 different textures and 2 different colors that we're going to apply to this beginning set here. So to kind of mix things up a bit, like I said, I'm going to use a couple of different textures. Starting off, we are using the crushed white sheer panels, right? Then we centered it with a nice sequin, kind of give it a little pop, a little sheen. So I'm going to also use the flat wool, which I hardly ever use, but for pops of color or just kind of make your backdrop a little thicker, if you already have it, I suggest you use it. So then we're going to pair it with a jersey knit. This is like, they say it's rose, but it kind of look pink. Depends on your color scheme, right? And we're going to end it off with a spandex in like a maroon. Now the maroon is not going to be a lot. Again, it's just going to be like an accent color to kind of just make your backdrop stand out some. So what you want to do is stand on one end and you're going to thread your drape according to how you want your colors to blend in. So since I'm going to, I want this flat wool to be on the end of my backdrop, I'm actually going to start. That way I can have them line up the exact same way I want them to be. So once you get it on, you just slide it back, make yourself some room. Then continue with your next panel. My next one I'm using is the jersey knit. I'm actually using 2 of these to kind of just give it a wider spread of this color. And add my next panel. Same color. So the total I'm actually using on this second panel is 8 panels altogether. What's happening here? The last one is the maroon. Then you return your crossbar to the hanger. Now at this point, only thing I'm going to do is slide my drape over to give me room for the next 4. So now that you're working on the other end of your backdrop, you want to now put the colors in the opposite order that you did the first time. So now I'm going to start with my maroon because I want this to line up in the center with the other maroon. Then my next color would be my rose. Your second rose panel. And then your flat voile. Okay, so now that you guys have all of your drape on your second crossbar, next thing you're going to do is measure out your drape to be sure that everything is even, and then we're going to get into the design. So the first thing you want to do is find the middle of your backdrop. So we're designing at approximately 7 feet. So I'm going to find the middle of that so I can know where my 2 drapes should meet. That would be roughly about 3.5. This is like my middle mark. So now you just want to make sure all of your panels, each different color, is the same exact width on both sides. So my burgundy or maroon is about 20 inches wide, which would make my rose, let's do that, about 18 inches. And then the balance is about 17. So we're going to do the same thing over here. Make rose about 18 inches. And then you should have 17 on the end. Perfect. Now you just want to look for any gaps. Evenly disperse your drapes out. And now you're ready to add your 2 pole covers. So now you guys are going to create 2 pole covers. And if you need a refresher, you can either go back to module 1 or click the link below for the video on just how to do that. So once you create your pole cover, you just attach it to your upright. You want to make sure that you are covering all of your hardware and kind of drape over the front crossbar. It's going to kind of act as a cape, so to speak. Do the same thing on the opposite side, and you are ready to raise and create your design. Okay guys, so now you're going to raise your design so you can start with the pleating and actually creating your design. When you are raising your design, kind of be mindful of exactly how high you want to go. Luckily, if any of you guys have purchased any of the Posh kits, guess what? You have etched markings on your upright, so you don't have to stand back and look. You don't have to ask people, hey, is this even? Hey, the uprights tell you exactly what it is. So let's get started. Okay guys, so we're going to be going up about 10 feet. So if you guys have, again, the basic kit, that will be your max out height. But as always, I kind of recommend the premium kit so you can have, you know, more flexibility in your size. So we're going to go up. And remember to not raise at maximum height on one side first. You want to shimmy from side to side so that you can create a balance for your design and your backdrop. So now you guys are great to start your pleating technique. And the reason I've shown you guys with different textures, because I want to show you the different ways that each panel handles the actual swooping or swags, right? So first we're going to start with the flat voile. You want to kindly move your pole cover out of the way, and we are going to go for the 3-foot mark that's on the upright. So look at your bottom hooks, your bottom slots, and remember that they are 3 feet from the ground. So you're going to start your pleating technique, which again, remember to have your fabric in a fold of your hand, and then just start with the same technique that we covered in module 1. So you want to make sure that your pleats are all nice and crisp. And remember, if you're uncomfortable continuing to either a different kind of texture or another panel, you can always secure this one to the upright, right along with your pipe cleaner. Then you just continue on to your next panel, and this next panel I'm using is a jersey knit. So it's going to have a lot more, flowy and like durability in the actual texture. This is why this is like one of my favorites, because it's easy fabric. It's like maintenance free. So you just want to bring the fabric over to where you left off. Make sure you fold it inward and you continuously pleat. Don't mind her, guys. Now, I've pleated one panel. I'm going to show you the added benefit of using this fabric when you don't necessarily, let's just say your technique is not the best, or you haven't practiced enough yet. The good thing about this fabric is you bring it over to where you left off. And if you don't want to pleat and do the handy dandy, all the techniques and all that stuff, guess what? You just lift your fabric up, let it drop in your hand, and there's your pleats. Just make sure your gaps are closed in, and then there you go. That's like easy peasy. It's not a lot of technique used for that kind of fabric, which is why I like it. But for the sake of this video, guess what? We're going to do it the right way so you can see the premium way to do it and what I recommend you guys to do. Just continuously pleat. Remember to take your last seam and go inward. Close up any gaps you may see. Get your pipe cleaner and secure it to the pole. Your last piece. Now you have an option of, you can make it clean, you could do a deep swoop. It's really up to you and how you want to create your design. Normally if I'm using any kind of spandex, which is what this is, it has a nice sheen. I normally do a deep swoop because it gives it a really premium, expensive, it just looks like wow. And that's the kind of reaction you guys are looking for when people see your backdrops. So again, I'm closing up the gap. And with this spandex, I do normally do that way, right? But you can, since you guys are practicing pleating, you can pleat this as well. Make sure all your pleats are nice and neat, uniform. Last one's tucked in. And there you have it. Secure it to your backdrop, your upright. And it's all neat. This is when you now kind of look at your imperfections, see if there's any pleating that can use some tweaking. But this looks pretty good, which is one of the added benefits of using this kind of fabric. So we're going to do the same exact thing on the opposite end. Okay, so now we're just going to replicate the same exact thing we did on the other half of your backdrop over on this side. So reminder, you're looking for your 3-foot mark and you're pleating with the flat voile. Now when you're doing the flat voile, you do want to kind of really take your time with the pleats because this fabric is a little more hard to manipulate. It's not as easy peasy as the spandex or the jersey knit. So you just want to be mindful that you should be seeing your pleats as long as you go along. Secure that to your upright. Let's continue with our knit. Bring it over to your upright and begin your pleating. Tuck your last piece in, and you can, it's totally up to you, your comfort level. You can continue with the next panel without securing each individual panel to the upright. Now I have those two, I'm going to secure it to my pole. And my last piece, I want this to look, I'm going for a more relaxed look, a more romantic deep swoop. Close in your gap and then continue to pleat. Now you just want to bring that up. Secure it to your upright. Now you're going to check for evenness, just to make sure that all of your swags are even, your color portions are even, before you do any puddling. So you kind of just want to stand back, see something like this. When you see that, all you want to do is go in, locate where they meet, the two panels, and then you just want to pull it, just to kind of close in that gap. So these are the imperfections you're looking for, because again, you want to stand out from what everyone else is doing. And I guarantee you, everyone else is not necessarily spending an extra 10 minutes after they design just to make sure things are perfect. So that's what you want to do. Stand back. Hold on. Ugh. Some of the things that I'm looking for is evenness along all of your, look at your negative space, your positive space, and you want to make sure things are toned out. You want to look for things like, where is these two colors meeting? It should be parallel to the same thing on this side, where these two colors are meeting. Where is this coming? Even though we tied it to the 3-foot mark, sometimes things go off a little bit. So you're just really looking for accuracy, evenness, before you get to do any kind of puddling, because this is where you want to perfect your pleats. So once you see everything and you're kind of satisfied with everything, then you go on to your puddling. So the puddling, if you remember, all you do is pick up and drop. And you're trying to create a line along your backdrop, along the bottom. What I don't want to see you guys do, and which is often done, you see that a whole lot. So don't do that. Just take, like I said, take an extra minute or two and just perfect the bottom. And if you have to get down, go on and get down. That's the big payoff. Create your poofy Easter dress over here. Then you're going to have your pole cover. You want that to drape the very end and cover up your base. You shouldn't see any hardware. That's the goal. You want things to look polished, even. Then do the same thing on the other side. So again, you just want to pick all your fabric up, kind of get it going. Take your pole cover here, let that drape the outer edge. Get your gig line together. Now you're going to add from here. It's totally optional to you guys. I'm going to add some tie backs to kind of complete this design. But as we further go along in the course, we're going to do things like adding frames, adding valances, adding floral. There's so much you could do to this design, although guess what? It's beautiful just as it is. But let's finish it off with our tie backs so we could get the complete look. So when you're doing your tie backs, even though the bling wraps are kind of like really popular, everyone use them, I technically like to use other things that you'll see me use later on in the course. But since we are actually trying to create attention to the bling in the middle, I'm going to use these because it pairs well. It's like really tying everything together and making things look cohesive. These actually is not, you can purchase bling wraps pre-made at different companies, and you'll see some links down below. But these are actually just a roll of mesh that I just cut, and I'm going to pin them together so it can stay. So there you have it. We have created a double panel backdrop. We have used two crossbars actually. We've paired it off with some bling wraps and created some pizzazz with some glitz sequin. All of these products will actually be in the links below if you're looking to where you can actually purchase. And guess what? Even though this is gorgeous, I swear when you guys stay along for the course and the other modules that's to come, you're going to be so excited about what you can create by just watching these modules, because you're in here for a reason. And guess what? I am going to give you the results you're looking for so you can take your skills to the next level and wow your guests. Stay tuned for more. The thing that is preventing you from attracting those $1,000 clients is you don't know how to do it. You have to produce what people are willing to pay for. And then I've done it from my living room, my little 1,800 square foot townhouse.